friends have never been more important than they are today. Everywhere you turn, there seems to be reasons to give up or not even try at all. We want to be the light in these times and an inspiration for others to keep pushing forward. My journey of growth comes through humility, and I welcome all who are looking to grow with me. Thanks for tuning in to the Crew First Culture Podcast. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Crew First Culture Podcast. I'm Jeremy, and very excited to have a special guest on today, somebody that I've known for a little bit and have gotten really close to. Somebody that has kind of, I wouldn't say pushed me, but has kind of inspired me to get to where I'm at with, the drive I have, the passion I have. So without anything further, my special guest today is Justin Mann. So Justin Mann is actually my driver at my station. Lucky enough to have somebody that is, he's just super fired up about training, about the fire service, about the job. He teaches all over the place, does some work with stretching for success, does a lot of forcible entry work around the nation, and just excited to have him on, and we're going to have a good conversation and see where it goes. So how you doing, Justin?
Man, doing awesome, man. We got a solid morning here to record this, and can't beat the weather right now. It's a nice little break we got.
So Justin's actually, we work with the same department, obviously, but we're probably about 2 hours away. He lives in Moore, which is south of Oklahoma City. I live almost in Tulsa, so we got quite a difference. So usually when we get back together on work, it's almost like we live in two different hemispheres. They have completely different weather, seems like, but I think we're kind of sharing some nice cooler weather, a little bit of rain, so it is nice. Won't you give us a little bio, and we'll kind of start digging in.
Well, like you said, driver, Edmond Fire, that's where we work at. That's been driver for it's ongoing 3 or 4 years now, with a little break in there when I went to the training division for about 3 years. Total time on in Edmond so far has been 13. I spent about 2 or 3 out at a local airport before then, and had a little bit, about a 1.5 year stint as a volunteer out in Amarillo, Texas before meeting my wife and her dragging me from Texas to Oklahoma and implanting me here. So overall, just I love what we do and respect what we do and want to be all in all the time. And it's just kind of the attitude I take towards whether it's showing up to work or training or whatever it is. It's what we do, man. We get paid, and we're blessed to be paid for what we do. Some don't have that opportunity, and they give their time and effort, just like I did when I was volunteering. It was, you wanted to show up so bad anyways. And it's awesome to still have that drive and passion and I get paid to do it now. So, and it's sad when you see some of those guys lose that, but then it's awesome to be able to sometimes reconnect them with that passion and drive and getting them back into it. So that's a little bit of me, man. Family, faith, and friends is really how I live my life. Strong in my faith and then as far as my family goes, where we live and everything we do out here on this land and everything is for them and for us to be together out here. And it's been a true blessing through all this Corona and lockdowns and everything else to just have what we have out here and be able to get outside and enjoy it a little bit. It's almost like you're camping almost every day sometimes. So it's nice to be able to relax out here and enjoy this.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I've kind of talked a little bit about kind of my situation as well, and we share that as far as living on land, being out, just the quiet and all that brings, just being re-energized when you go home and sit on your porch like you're obviously doing right now.
Oh,
yeah. I enjoy that a lot. I know just to kind of give some background to those out there, we've kind of started doing at night at the station is grabbing some chairs and going out in front of the engine on the apron and hanging out there. And it's nice, but I think we'll both agree that being 40 feet from cars buzzing by is not quite the same as sitting out in the country and listening to the birds and all that. But I guess you got to work with what you got. So it is nice.
That's for sure.
So talked a little bit about, some of the things you're involved in. I think there's definitely going to be some, I don't want to skip over the fact of the product that you are a part of as well. Justin is one of the co-owners. Is that kind of the right term you would use? Co-founders,
partners. Yeah. So luckily got pulled into it, or put the time and effort into it to be able to be a part of it, man. And it has evolved into something way bigger than what any of us ever thought it would be. So that's for sure.
Co-partner, I would say, of Woods Force Warranty door kits. And that's something that anybody that's followed my page, you see a lot of, because I have kind of got that bug for that, force of warranty training as well. I just enjoy it. And so, we have one at the station we pretty much use every day. And so I didn't want to skip over that. Those guys, it's three solid dudes that are kind of running that. And I've kind of finagled my way through the back door of being a little bit of a part of it, kind of run their Instagram. So I snuck in a little bit, and it's been fun just kind of seeing that grow and being a part of that. So definitely, if that's something that anybody out there is looking for, go to my page, go to the Woods Force Warranty Instagram page, Facebook page, and check them out. Got some good stuff.
Well, appreciate you plugging it, man. That's for sure. And
no problem.
One of the things is, I know that we've talked about, and I'll just air it out there right now, because of talking with Brush and Lindell both, is there is full support, and that's a thing that we want to do, and we want to try to give back where we can all the time. Whether it's sending guys to training, or doing some deals for, raising money to send people somewhere, or just giving back the little things. But definitely want to know that we want to support you in this adventure of this podcast and everything else, and know that we want to, like I said and told you earlier, that we're going to sponsor you. So whatever you got, we're planning on hearing the Woods Force Warranty door kit promo for all these podcasts, since we want to sponsor you. And whether it is a financial burden or not, it doesn't really matter, but it's just a little support that we want to definitely give out to you. We appreciate what you're doing, man.
That's awesome. I've kind of heard you mention it. I didn't know the final answer on it, so I haven't really said much about it, but that's really cool, and definitely look forward to whatever that partnership brings. So I thank you for that. So getting into kind of the meat of why we are here, or just at least kind of the topic that we're going to hit into this time, competency-based safety, or competency, or safety through competency, I guess, is kind of what we're going to be talking about. And I will definitely not overshadow Justin on this, but just to kind of get into what I'm talking about is basically, for me, the first time I've kind of heard this, and I wish I had a clue of what podcast it was, but I believe it was Shannon Stone on a podcast, and I think I even talked to you, Justin, about this when I heard it. But he gave a quote, and I'm going to totally screw it up, and I'm going to get as close as I can, of saying basically the best way to keep your crews safe is through proper and regular training. And I think hearing that from him just really, I don't know, it made something click in me. It's like, golly, that's really true. I mean, you can't be any safer than if you're just properly trained and just know what the heck you're doing. And I think that's a great kind of mindset to have. And so I know this is something you brought up a couple of days ago, And so that made it very clear that it'd be a good topic to talk about. So go ahead and just kind of go at it. Where do you sit on the subject?
Well, definitely on the side of competency, that's for sure. First, I think that we can get involved and look into the safety side of things, and which we all need to be safe. Don't get me wrong. I'm never going to preach or not promote safety, because we definitely, especially in the training environment, taking undue risk in the training environment really, I mean, getting somebody hurt in training doesn't do anybody any good. But we've got to be able to push limits in training to be able to get the utmost everything out of that training that we can. That way we are competent in what we do, because if it's basically safety oriented and or so safe minded that we're doing things, and you don't ever take calculated risk in training, or the mindset and or the discipline of whatever it is, and it's so padded or bubbled, and or things are put under windows so people don't get hurt, or whatever it is, that you constantly keep taking things away that people have to definitely need to be paying attention to and or doing, whether it's sweeping under the windowsill or coming in and just knowing that the technique, whatever it is. But if we breed that and have so much safety involved that guys are not going to truly know or have the environment and the mindset to, when they're called upon to do that skill set or that action or that rescue or whatever it is, then that's when they become a liability. I mean, if we're asking somebody to go to the roof that's never been to the roof because we don't do vertical ventilation, but then all of a sudden we need it one day, or we've never really trained on BES, and then all of a sudden that, because we think it's dangerous or something, and that we don't train on it, and then all of a sudden that one day it's needed, and we're throwing our guys into that situation of where they've never been, and we're expecting a good outcome. Nah, man, we've got to breed competency, which if you are competent, sorry, man, it's going to be an ongoing deal probably. If we are competent at what we do, we're professional and we're competent at what we do, then safety just goes hand in hand with that. Like, that is part of it. Now, if you just create a safe environment to do things, that doesn't necessarily going to be mean that you're going to be competent. And we teach it with, whether it's the 2.5 to 1 3/4, that the training translates down, not up. You can be great at 1 3/4 work all day and moving lines and all that, but as soon as I throw you on a 2.5, I will show you your flaws, because it takes the true technique. It will expose a 2.5-inch line, will expose what bad techniques and manners and everything you have. It will expose it. So if I can get you out there and put you on a 2.5 and make you really good at a 2.5, you go get that 1 3/4 line. Heck, you're gonna, for some older guys in the fire service, they might think they're back on 1.5 line and being like, oh man, it's like taking candy from a baby, right? So it's nice to train with that mindset that it's going to translate down instead of thinking that it's going to translate up. So
that's some of that's kind of interesting, because I knew what we were talking about and I had an idea of kind of where we were going, but you saying that even kind of brought up a even different angle for me. So when I was envisioning this conversation, I'm basically thinking just training in itself to gain competency so that you can do the job safely in real life. Well, you brought up the fact of, we're basically child-proofing training so that we don't get hurt in training. And that's even handcuffing us more. And that's interesting, because I mean, it's true. You do. And like you said, this podcast, this episode is in no way saying that we're just throwing safety out the window and we need to be, this and that. That's not the point of this episode. The point of this episode is to truly, really kind of express the importance to just completely immerse yourself in training and to be competent in what we're doing, so that when it's in time that those skills are called upon, that we can do them. And so, it's and this is something else we've talked about too, is it comes down to the details of training. And I know that's something that you have expressed a true passion for, just the little details. And that's something I've kind of started learning about. It doesn't matter if you're on for 18 years or 12 or 5. You can take a particular subject, like just some re-familiarizing yourself with SCBA, and you could literally just go through the air pack and learn something that you may not have known before, or you may have completely forgotten about. And it's just those little details that's when training really, for me, kind of goes to that next level, and you really start learning more about the job. So I think that's big too.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Just the kind of the kick back to, and or I guess to give credit for the whole competency breeds safety to me, is when I got to meet and or just being around some of the colony guys, and then getting to meet and sit through Chief Thompson's class several times. And that is his I mean, that's literally his culture. Everything that he shifted down there was literally that, to be competent, and basically, and what is basically takes the word safety out of all of the policies, procedures, everything, but it's competent. To be competent breeds safety. And man, I mean, through his book and everything else, man, Chief Thompson is on point right now, and definitely really appreciate listening to anything he's got coming. So if you don't know who he is or anything, check him out, man. And down in the Colony, Texas, Chief Scott Thompson down there doing a lot of good things as a chief, and just being involved, engaged, down to earth guy, man, just solid. So, but I mean, I guess, what are you, I guess, is it okay if I ask you questions, I guess?
Oh yeah, yeah, shooting back and forth.
Like, I mean, when you hear the word competent, like what do you think of when you hear competent?
Competent to me is just confidence that they know what they're doing. So basically, if I am looking at you and considering you to be competent, that means that I have total confidence that you can do whatever task we're talking about. Or if somebody's talking about me being, let's just say, just trying to pick out, so forcible entry, just throwing that out there. So if somebody considers me to be competent in the realm of forcible entry, that means that I truly understand what I'm doing. I can do it proficiently, efficiently, and it's just that I guess that's kind of the best way I can explain it. I know what I'm doing, and I can do it when I'm called upon to do it.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you got
Yeah.
another angle on that?
When anytime we're talking specific words and things like that, it's just always like to reiterate the true definition, like the true definition, to like possession or sufficient knowledge or skill of whatever it is. Okay. And like, even taking that, so like, to me, that definition of competency is like a firefighter level competency, like that you possess all the skill sets, right? You come up in it, you're bred through your culture of your fire department, and you know those skill sets, you know the mechanical advantage of the tool, you know what everything is called on the tool, because just those little details that maybe you don't know which side's the adds or the force or what the crotch is, whatever it is on the tool, or a playbook mindset, whatever's being called. But like, if somebody's saying, hey, just switch over to the ads, and now you're fumbling around, like, crap, which is the ads? I don't really do it.
Yeah.
It's just little minor details, and I love that aspect of the job, and or getting into the training aspect. It's just knowing the tool, knowing the call, knowing what lay we're doing, knowing what your officer's probably thinking when you roll up on whatever it is. And that takes time, don't get me wrong, over it all. But then when you get into the officer role of being competent, like the secondary or alternate definition is legal authority, ability, and admissibility. So and when we talk admissibility, like the first thing when I hear admissibility is like courts, law, the, you know, defendants and all the cases, and
Yeah.
what was it admissible or not, you know? And so admissibility within that, so the legal authority and ability, like that legal authority, like you've made that to that position, you're in legal authority over a crew at this point. And if you're competent, then, you know, whether you've passed fire officer 1 or 2, you know, it is what it is. That's some people's base and all they have to go off of. So that is how they deem that you are competent to be in that job, which we all know
Yeah.
there's so much more to it in leadership
Oh yeah.
activities. And, you know, if you want to call it
Yeah.
babysitting us, I don't know, but I'm sure it feels like you're babysitting grown men half the time. But when you talk about that admissibility, true admissibility, capable and worthy, allowable, like, you know, like I know you, and being competent as an officer leading us in, that you have, for one, you have that legal authority because you've done what you needed to do to get to the position that you've got. You passed everything you've got, and then you are capable and then worthy, which we can go back into a ton of your podcasts and everything else. And, you know, worthy is stood out really a lot to me when I was reading that. Is, you know, are you worthy? But it's more of a respect thing. Are you worthy of our respect? Vice versa type deal. Have you earned that respect? Have you earned that trust? That whole deal. Have you put in the time and effort into your crew and not just
Yeah.
showed up and used your authority? Because you can come
Authority.
in
Yeah.
with, you know, you can come in just with authority, and we know how that usually works out. So
Yeah.
it's been, I mean, honestly, it's been an honor to work with you. I've enjoyed every bit of it. It's been awesome to grow with you. But yeah, I like, you know, and we can expand off of what's allowable, you know, when we're talking station life training, you know, truly NFPA standards. I don't know how far you want to take it, but
Oh, it doesn't matter to me. So, first of all, I appreciate it. It's been fun. We got a good crew. We just enjoy coming to work. It's fun, and we laugh and give each other a hard time basically all day long, and that's kind of what it's about. It's also a learning experience every day for myself. So I'm sure you're kind of witnessing me growing and trying to figure out who the heck I am as a leader every day. So I'm sure it's interesting for you as well for that. I guess kind of piggybacking off that is, while you're talking, you know, you're discussing the true, like, written definition of competency, and it kind of made me realize, for me, competency is really not it's not somewhere you get to. Almost, in my mind, it's somewhere you're chasing. You know, yeah, I feel like I know what to do on forcing a door, but am I just perfect at it? No. Do I need to keep working so I'm learning? Yes. Do I need to keep uh, uh, learning as far as like the details you're talking about, and just remembering what your advantages are, and all these things? Yes. And that's kind of almost to me like it's just something I'm always going to be chasing. That competency for me is not something one day I'll wake up and say, I finally have it. It's something that I'm going to continually work and work and work at it.
yeah.
Do you kind of feel the same way?
Oh yeah, completely, man. And that's really where I've caught myself with over the last year or so, and being extremely blessed to be out there and teaching with some of the cadres that I'm teaching with Stretching for Success or Fire by Trade, whatever it is. Um, Even once you get in that teaching role, it's easy to sit back and go to these conferences and you get to teach. But then what you start missing is you don't get to engage in these conferences a lot. You don't get to go sit and take the classes, depending on where it's at or how it's set up. It just all depends. But that was where really my mind has shifted this last month or two, is just basically thinking and taking maybe a year is what kind of my thought is, once everything opens back up and you're able to travel and do whatever you want to do again. is just going to picking 2 or 3 or 4 conferences for the year and just going and being that student. Because I think you get a lot, some instructors or whoever it is can get so wrapped up just in the teaching aspect of it, and then that's all they do, and they don't, you get ingrained in your own mindset, your own way. And so, and it's not a bad thing. It's just, you got to keep an open mind. You got to keep learning. We constantly, and if we're just in our own little bubble and constantly stay in it and don't ever really see anything else, then we kind of become stagnant, I guess you could say. So that's kind of when you talk about competency, and whether it's training mindset or fire or officer or anything else, it's constant training, constant improvement. I wish I could remember what the OU baseball coach, Sonny Galloway.
Yeah.
My son got to go. He's coaching here at Moore High now. He's coaching the baseball team now, and they put on a little camp last year, and Easton got to go to it. And his word for that whole camp, he had one word, and it was Kaizen, and it's continuous improvement, basically. And that's what he just kept hammering them into it. It's like, you're not, just because you show up right now and you're a firefighter doesn't mean you're going to be an officer one day. That you should be constantly learning. And that's how, our promotion and everything we got is that you will be in every rank before you, if you're going to promote, you're going to hit every rank. You can't skip from firefighter to officer, so you have a true understanding of each position. And I don't know if it was on the last training trip that we took and we were talking about this, but that was huge, is that you do have a true understanding. And not that I'm not saying that you can't be a firefighter and bump straight to an officer role and not be good at it. But when you truly don't understand what that driver's going through, what he's doing, time based, everything about it, it's not that you can't overcome it, but at least you have an understanding of it and you can have an expectation of it. And so, but constant training, constant improvement, man, is definitely, it's something, I guess you could say is hard to do sometimes. Just you get beat down and you want to just take a break, but you can't allow yourself to stop and not learn something else, or just be open-minded at least.
Yeah. Something I wanted to make sure to hit on, because it was interesting to me when you said that. You talked about taking a break from teaching, from instructing, and just being a student. You hear all the time that you'll never learn more than when you're teaching something. If you want to truly learn something about it, you need to get out and teach it. But you saying that, it's just interesting to me, because you're basically saying, and I'm not saying that's not true, I believe that completely, but it's almost like when you said that, it kind of made me think, well, you gain certain things when you teach, but to truly broaden your mind, to truly kind of maybe gain different perspectives, gain different mindsets, different angles, you got to get out there and be a student. Because when you're teaching, it's good. You do learn things, but you really just kind of circulate the stuff that you already have in your mind. You don't gain a lot of outside ideas or processes or techniques. But when you get out there and be a student, then you're really kind of broadening all of that, and you add that into some teaching as well, and it's almost like a compounding effect, and it just kind of keeps going and going and going. So that to me is interesting when you said that. Is that kind of how you feel, to do both, basically?
Oh yeah, you can't just, I wouldn't think you just do one. If you're just solely focused on teaching and you don't ever get back into, you will be outdated before you know it. It happens at train divisions all across the nation. And being in the train division for 3 years opened my eyes to a whole new world. I grew tremendously over there through that opportunity. And the benefit of it was that you got to see, not just on our department alone, I got to see every shift, every crew, how they did it, and just the differences and little things. But that's the thing when you're a teacher, so that the teaching aspect of it, and why you learn so much when you teach, is because of repetition. And who likes to look like an idiot? when you get up to teach? Nobody. I mean, nobody want, I mean, you can get out nervous and everything else, and you can curb a lot of those nerves just by being competent in what you do, because then it comes off, you know, that, okay, this guy does know what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. He's into the job, whatever it is. But man, repetition, creating habits, which is huge, because if you don't create those habits, you're going to fall back to your other level of training, whatever it is. You know, we're predominantly right now is hose management, moving lines and things like that, positioning lefts, rights, you know, and hallways and everything, which is super awesome. And guys are engaged, they're getting down there and they're doing the training. And if you go down there and do it one time and you're like, hey, you know, I got it, cool. Well, more than likely, when the fire comes in, you're going to revert back to, if you've only done it once or twice down there and you think, ah, man, I like the way that feels. And, you know, I got that, you know, well, did you get it? Did you do it till you got it right? Or did you do it till you can't get it wrong? That mindset, you know, whether you're a professional athlete or anything else, nobody's sitting there taking batting practice till they can get it right and then they walk away. You know, they're freaking hammering them out. It's free throws, you know, I mean, thousands of free throws, whatever it is. You do it every day to ingrain that in your body to where it's going to do it naturally. And so you might be hearing one of the new ones trying to crow now.
Okay.
Trying to get local,
yes, I totally agree on that. And that's something that I'm kind of personally working at. You see a lot of people kind of saying, hey, I've never seen a parking lot fire. You know, you got these guys that all they do is kind of spray water in a parking lot. And I get it. And I'm sure there are probably people that say that about myself, because if you've seen my page, there is a lot of videos and pictures of me or us spraying water in the parking lot. But what I have to say about that is sometimes, you know, that's what we got. You know, sometimes we can't get out of district to go somewhere to do it, or sometimes it's just not, you know, we don't have time or whatever it is. Sometimes it's just easier to get out and do it. And I do agree that that's not what you should do all the time. You've got to get out and do it in either buildings or somewhere where you have actual corners and hallways and something like that to work with. But I do feel like, especially when you are working on kind of a base competency, base knowledge, that's a good place to start. You know, get out there, work on your footwork, work on your movements, work, like you said, work on your kind of that transitioning of going straight to left to right. It's a good place to start. And so that's kind of why I've enjoyed getting out just in front of our station, hooking right to a hydrant and doing that work right there, because it's easy and because I feel like I get a lot out of it still.
Oh yeah. There's no better place for it. I mean, if you're still in that learning of herb, I mean, that's, you know, you got to start challenging yourself and opening up the game a little bit when you know, you can say advanced training, because I mean, it is crawl, walk, run type. You should have a crawl, walk, to me, have that crawl, walk, run mentality when it comes to training, you know, especially as an incumbent firefighter and bringing them into service, just, you know, training scars and everything else that you can create, even not just incumbents, but guys that have been on years and have the scars from the past, and then trying to overcome those scars by legit crawl, walk, run. And we've done it over the past, and it's had a ton of good feedback. But when it's kind of talking about advanced training, I mean, there's all levels. You got new guys to old guys, and that doesn't mean usually your new guys have gotten the most updated skills and tactics and everything else, and they come out and the old guys want to kind of fluff them off as, you know, and or depending on how they act, but fluff them off as, oh, you just think you know everything type deal. But those guys have a lot to give, you know, giving back, and they're not going to be a loud voice or anything else, but they can just be out there and doing the work and showing the guys that have just been introduced to that skill set, possibly haven't honed it yet. And it's a quiet leader to me, you know, it's a lot of doing the work and showing that you know how to do it, and then people seeing it and wanting to do it with you type deal. But the whole advanced training deal, and I've said it before with you, is that Jim McCormick up at FDTN, of course.
Yeah.
Shout out to those guys up there. Freaking amazing facility, amazing training, realistic, down to earth guys that you can just, I mean, you've got guys that are probably 40 plus years in the fire service that are teaching up there that are
Still
just
going at it.
Yeah, man. And I mean, freaking Lombardo jumping in VES and Windows left and right. And you're just like, golly, man, this is just awesome. But his whole mindset, and, you know, guys are constantly asking, you know, oh, I need an advanced forcible entry class. I need a advanced RIT class, or, you know, and he's got it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. He's got live fire RIT up there. And that's to me would be an advanced, but his whole mindset is that you show me advanced skill and I'll show you an advanced class. Yeah. Because typical fireman and or anybody in life, you always think you're bigger than what you really are. And so it's one of those, you know, and I had my, I guess, I don't know, wake up call when I got to go up there through his RIT's trainers, RIT and survival class. And I mean, I thought I was pretty good. I got you know, invited to go up there to go do this and bring it back and to teach our department this course, you know, our whole department at that time. And I got up there and it was within one of the first day we were throwing ladders, and I got shown, you know, I made an ass out of myself. That's all there's to it. You know, grabbed the ladder, gung ho, not paying attention, not thinking details, just looking to go do the job, not being confident, and freaking threw the ladder right upside down. And, you know, it's one thing to throw a ladder upside down if it's going to a second story window and you don't have to extend it, you know. You might get away with that possibly, but when you need to extend it and you look at it and try to extend a ladder that's upside down, it's almost impossible. So that was very, very embarrassing. You know, nobody wants to be embarrassed, especially around your peers, and I get it. But man, you gotta put yourself out there. You gotta challenge yourself. You gotta get out there. You gotta do the things that you're not comfortable with. And heck, even the other day when we were simply out on the apron, it was after workout, after a bunch of stuff, and then throwing the 2.5 on the ground. And it was like, all right, cool, we got it out here. But then it was like, well, let's just do opposite sides. So, which you're weird and a lefty, and so I'm always seeing you in the left hand. It's like that little bit, you never know what position you're going to be in and or forced in.
Yeah.
Whether it's 2.5 inch and 3/4 lefts, rights, stairs, you know, up, down, whatever it is, having to back out. We've played with backing out, you know, while flowing. It's not comfortable. It's not something that you plan on doing, but it might be something that you have to do. So having a good base of it might be worthy one day. For forcible entry and everything. I mean, you know, low profile, forcible entry, center hallway, smoked out, whatever it is. You go to some of these trainings and you put on some of these, you know, scenario type deals, and you get them in and you close them in, they're smoked out, and you got typical naysayers or whatever in the back, like, why would you ever need to do this? And it's like, you might end up in a center hallway, whatever. It might not be in your district. I don't know, but we have those, and or apartments that are low level above and smoked out, and you've got to go force a door. Well, hopefully it's not your first time when it's actual and it's real, you know, because then you hope you show up and you perform, but you're going to fall back. I don't know where we're going right now. So.
Oh, it doesn't matter. It's all right. That's a norm for anybody that has listened to any of my episodes. It's a rabbit hole after rabbit hole. So we're good.
Man.
Kind of piggybacking off of that is, you know, you talk about maybe you'll never experience those things, or maybe you will. Well, for me, it comes to the point of if you do it enough, you know, training, I'm talking about training, different evolutions of maybe one particular skill, it starts getting old. It doesn't matter what it doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter how much you enjoy it. So you kind of got to start branching out, getting creative, and so that's when those things are, you know, okay, let's try like this today. You know, what's that's not going to hurt anything. And also maybe you'll find something that you enjoy better, something that works better. You just never know. And so I think another key to all of this is just trying to find a way to make it fun. You know, just training training should be fun. And I definitely have been a part of some crews that they find a way to make it not enjoyable. And so I think that's something that's very important for anybody out there that's really looking to stay involved, to get plugged in, to keep driving, just to do their best to learn and grow every day is just finding a way of keeping it fun. And is that, do you see that as being a kind of a big factor in keeping going?
Yeah, I mean, not all of it's going to be fun. There's always going to be the, I say not all of it'll be fun. Some people are, I say, a little more different minded and in the loving the pain and loving the sweat and loving just throwing the body into a way of, pushing it to its limit, finding the edge, and some guys just aren't into that. But we have to push ourselves, whether it's the basic of, hose line management and things like that, or it's RIT and survival and mental toughness, which is huge in our job, is that you don't ever plan on being in those positions, but countless firefighters have been in those positions. And whether they freaked out or they kept their crap together and, filter breathed or didn't rip their mask off, little things like that could play out to it. But a lot of that comes to being prepared and knowing, going into it and training and doing those things in the forefront to prepare, try to, you can't create every scenario. You're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to put somebody into that kind of level of atmosphere mentally, but you can get them close, whether if anybody follows Rick George, any of his guys doing the training and resiliency training and mental toughness and everything about it, like it's huge, whether it's Rick George and those guys doing their thing or the smoke diver program or breathing school out in the Carolina area. I mean, it's putting yourself in those uncomfortable positions to know that you can overcome it or give you a couple little skill sets to, whether it's box breathing or little things that just simply hitting the reset button. I know that was like the big thing in rookie school for us was like, the mindset of just, you got to stop and take a minute. It might not be a minute, but just the mindset, you stop and take a second and reset, focus what you actually have to do, what your situation is, what's the best outcome. And then you got to get back to the action portion. You can't just sit there and contemplate it. You're just going to lay there and die, but that's the whole thing is calculate it and then get back to work and get, resolve it, get it, somebody coming to help you out of it, whatever it is. So, good. I'd say some good resources, which you heard, Rick George and those guys, I believe he's still out of Florida. So those guys, if you hit him up or look him up and the stuff that they're doing is good. Couple of books, mindset wise, is of course On Combat by Dave Grossman. Really freaking awesome. Like when you're talking about the physiological response and the body and stress does to it and everything else. And Deep Survival is kind of a fun look at that perspective of why we do things that just don't make sense. And one of his, I don't know, have you ever read Deep Survival or listened to it? It's pretty good with the mindset, but it's like guys are snowmobiling and they're going up this mountain and it hadn't been, checked for avalanches or anything, and it's prone to it and everything else. And they constantly are setting charges off to control the avalanche factor, and it hadn't been done in so long. And these guys are riding up and they know basically the percentage is extremely high to be able to do this. And all of them turn around except for like one guy. And it's like, why did he continue to do that? And it really goes into the mindset of why and the adrenaline and everything that's going through our minds when we do honestly stupid stuff, stupid shit. So, and it just, it happens though, but it's a good book to kind of get into and see why we're doing things. And then if you know why you're doing stupid things, then hopefully you can correct them. I wish somebody could tell my 8-year-old son that, or me when I was younger, but it's not working right now.
I hear you. Kind of, we joke about this kind of going everywhere and anywhere, but it all ties in together. And like you just talking about with the the reset button and all of that. Well, you know, I I've been on 18 years. I've been in an air pack a lot. Not not saying that we have lots of quotation mark jobs, but training and fires and all that. I've been in an air pack a lot. But still, even just a few months ago, we'll do an on-air air pack every once in a while, and I've found myself several times, probably in the past year, of getting to a point where I have to stop and I have to hit the reset button, even where I'm at. Even the time I have on, even the experience I've had in one, and so that's something that I try to kind of convey to others, and not even at our department, but other departments I've been involved in, is you know you need to get those air packs on, and you need to do some work in them. You need to feel what it feels like. You need to experience that. And I hear a lot of the whole mindset of, oh, I know how to do it, or you know we've done it recently, or this and that. But man, I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you wear them every single day. You got to be able to know how to stop what you're doing, just calm down, tell yourself you are getting enough air, you're gonna be okay. Hit that reset like you're talking about. Take whatever time you need so you can go on, because I guarantee you, even like I said, with the time I have on, out in an open bay, absolutely no dangers, no smoke, no heat, nothing, just me and a freaking flipping a tire, or whatever it is we're doing. I want to take that mask off. And so it's hard for me to really convey the importance of that, and experiencing it for myself at the level I'm at. I'm not trying to say it's a super high level, but just the amount of time I've used them. I really want to challenge people to drop the mindset of, hey, I know how to do it, or yeah, we wore them a couple months ago, or for 5 minutes. You've got to get in those masks and air SCBAs and on air and do something, because it that's a big deal. If you experience something like what I experienced in working out in an actual house, or in an environment that you just can't take that mask off. And if you have failed to test yourself and push that mental boundary of, I can do it, just calm down. Okay, I made it through. Now let's keep going. If you have not done that, then you will not be able to do it in real life. And I put everything I own on that, because I have experienced it.
Yeah, and I mean, I've let's see, there's been 2 or 3 instances where thankfully it was in training that I learned the lesson, or working out, on air type deal. The first was working out on air and not opening my bottle fully. I never thought it'd be that big of a deal, but I simply, I masked out quick. I hadn't turned my bottle on. So I reached back, I cranked it once to get air, and I got air, and I assumed I was good to go. Okay. And it wasn't a quarter way through that workout, nowhere near Vibe Alert or anything, that Vibe Alert started kicking on. Still had well over 3,000 PSI in the bottle. Vibe Alert's active. And I'm in a workout and I'm just like, this isn't right. Not freaking out or anything. Had a pretty good system built in through other guys going to smoke diver and or emergency SCBA procedures, that I went to my habit of checking the purge and checking my bottle right off the bat. But it was like, at first, for the first 5 to 10 seconds, it was like, what the heck is going on? There's either this bottle was low to start with, or something's going on. But when I checked my pressure regulator, it said 3,000 plus. Purge was working, and went to open my bottle, and boom, there it was. I just didn't open it up enough to, when my demand overtook it, it kicked into the higher pressure and set off the Vibe Alert. So once I opened it up, it went back to normal and everything else. But the throwback to that is if that's your habit, if you're I love quick mask out. I love doing all that. But if your habit is that you're so in tune and you're in that deal where you're masking out and everything and then turning your bottle on, that there is a high likelihood that you're only going to turn it 1 or 2 turns and then go into a fire.
Yeah.
I mean, that is, and it's a significant risk, especially if we're talking stairs or anything else, or just getting in there just like I did, and you're working your tail off on a fire attack. And you as a captain, all of a sudden, we're making a push in, and we've been in there for like 5 minutes, maybe max, and my vibrator kicks off. You're going to be wondering what the hell's going on. Something's not right, right? I mean, that's not normal.
Yeah.
So it's going to throw everybody off just because I was too lazy to open my bottle all the way up.
Yeah.
Witnessed. So it was a true witness up there at FDTN that guys were doing the drills, and it was a basically below grade fire that they were going in on. You know, everything was smoked out. Everybody's in packs and everything, and that's what had happened. He had simply just cranked his bottle on once or twice, and he started bumping down the stairs. And as he bumped down the stairs, it shut off, and it was a instant, oh crap, and rip off and get the hell out of this structure type deal. And it was, you know, that was the first instance that I saw of it, and then I personally witnessed it there. And as far as like freaking out in my mask was when we came back from that RIT train the trainer, and we put in the whole department through it. We were doing the last drills, and we had all the wire boxes and everything was stacked everywhere. And basically one room was, you know, it was all boarded up, and the only entry exit was through one of the boxes, you know, and having to get a victim out. And I was simply, we had no live smoke. It was fake smoke. I had been tired of breathing that fake smoke, so I put on an SCBA to wear in there just because it just doesn't seem right to have to breathe that much fake smoke. I don't think it's really good for you. But got tired of it, so I had my mask on and air pack, no danger at all. Crews were in there working in that immediate environment, and one guy had gotten out, was pulling the dummy through the box, and the other guy was on the back side. And of course, the backside guy's vibrator's going off. He's starting to freak out because he needs out, and he's got a victim in between him and his exit that he can't get out. So it's a decision on, do I pull the victim back out? Are we going to have to leave him, or are we going to push him through? And his anxiety level increased. And all of a sudden, my anxiety level increased. I was on vibrator alert, but I'm just in there instructing. And I started, honestly, just was like, how the hell am I going to get out of here? Like, because not only his anxiety and just playing off of each other's anxiety. So if you can keep your crap together, especially as a officer or anybody else, or somebody, it doesn't have to be the officer, just somebody can keep their crap together and keep everybody calm, then the whole thing goes better. It's just like silencing a pass device once we've made it to the down firefighter. If we try to work through that whole environment with that pass device going on, it's just chaotic. When simply we can silence it, it calms everything down. We can talk to each other. But I got to the point where I was literally wanting to get out of my mask in that environment. And finally it clicked, like, okay, stop you. Like I was wanting to crawl on the box. Like my mental state was, I was ready to crawl on top of the box, take the board off, and get the hell out of there. It's like, I'm getting out of here no matter what. You guys are going to die. I'm getting the hell out of here. But it was crazy where our minds go, you know, and we have to be able to stop and think. And, you know, luckily it was that mindset. Okay, hold up, wait, what's going on here? Realize the situation. I turned my bottle off, unplugged. Yeah. It's like, okay, what? Hold on. Everybody's freaking out. His anxiety just increased mine. You know, when anxiety levels and pulse, everything starts increasing, those things, your motor function skills, everything, your how you process everything starts to decrease. Whatever it is, what you hear, you have story after story of cops and shootouts and everything else, and half the time you don't hear any of it. You don't even really, you think you might have heard or anything, but when they actually see what happened, it's like, wow, I had no recollection that really did happen. So it can happen to anybody at any time, no matter tenure or not. Rick George has an awesome story when it comes to it. I've personally experienced several people within our own department that have dealt with claustrophobic type issues as they've gained tenure and or stresses, not only in the job, but out of the job. It doesn't matter. It can be anything any little stressor, and next thing you know, it plays out in that mask when you're in that environment. And
Yeah.
it's like you start freaking out because it's never done that before. Never
Yeah.
experienced it, always been confident in it, always been competent in it. And all of a sudden, maybe one little thing changed at home, financial, marital, kids, something.
Yep.
And you're dealing with that stress now. And now you're in an air pack out there and it's just mind start rolling. So just, it's always be on guard, and always that, like you said, man, I would say once a tour trying to be in your pack with that mask on, not only doing workouts, you know, challenge yourself mentally, it sucks to put yourself in entanglements or getting through wire boxes, but that is a huge opportunity mentally to be able to work through things. Uh-oh.
While we're kind of on that subject, I'll go into something that I realized real quick that got me into one of those situations in a workout. Is so there for a few days I was doing forcible entry every day with the air pack on, and what I would do is I would mask up, force the door, and then as soon as the door was forced, I would take off or unhook and reset and do it again. And I mean, from the outside, that looks like a great thing. You know, you're getting practice masking up, you're getting practice forcible entry with the mask on and on air, and this and that. Well, then a couple of days later, I do a full workout with my, you know, on air, and just in a few short shifts of doing that, you know, on air, forced door, off air, just those few shifts, it made my mind think all you got to do is work for a few minutes and then you can get a break off air. You know what I mean? And so I found out real quick that, man, you cannot train your body to be okay with that, because it really put me in a bad spot of and it's just weird. It's like you said, it's like my mind knows it's okay. My mind knows that, you know, you got air, but training your body to basically work hard for a couple minutes and then get a break, it really bit me in the butt. It made me realize, man, you can't do that. Okay, it's okay to do it once in a while, but you can't do that completely and not expect some bad to kind of come from it. So that's where I'm getting at is, you know, these are things that we've learned after having a lot of time in air packs and on air. And so you can't just think or say that you're good. It doesn't matter how long you've had on. It doesn't matter how long you work in them. Like you said, it just takes one little variable to change, to occupy a little bit of your mind space, a little bit of your whatever you want to call it, your I lost the term, but basically just a little variable that's different, and you don't have that total focus that you normally do. So I think these are some really good things to sit and think about. Just, man, where am I at? You know, what am I doing training wise? How can I make it better? How can I really take my skill and techniques to the next level? And so I think it's good stuff to talk about for sure. So we had to stop for a little bit. I'm gonna hopefully edit all that out. We had to get Justin some time. He's been waiting for a couple of months to get a inspection done on some electric horse shop. So just got that done and gonna kind of get back at it. Do you any other angles you're kind of wanting to go, or any other things you're wanting to say about kind of what we talked about?
Man, I guess one, and I know we've kind of hit on it lately, and it bleeds into the competency, being competent in our jobs. How do we do that? How do we stay engaged? How do we constantly train and, come up with ideas or whatever it is, and having a schedule, having a playbook mindset of how we do things in positions and everything else. But like when we were talking earlier about, competency and getting it admissible and capable, worthy, and being allowable, like what is allowable, or what is the standard, I guess, set, whether it's the national standard or local standard. How do we gauge ourselves in whether we are competent at what we're doing, whether it's a hose line stretch or an officer deal and everything else? And I know this could go 10 ways, but like just as a good solid base. And it's interesting to me that the information's out there and it's set, and it makes me wonder how many people are actually using like NFPA 1410 and the actual drills that are in the back, and they're all time stamped. And it blows my mind when you go out there to do a drill, a simple forward lay with a stretch and water on the fire or water out of the nozzle. Just what is your time point? And I know at the station level, that's what we've focused on a little bit lately, is that from engine park brake set to water flowing is less than a minute. And I think, to me, that's a freaking awesome standard. It's like masking out.
Yeah.
At a base level, you should be under 20 seconds. Personally, professionally, it should not take you, if you're fully geared out and you've got, your mask and whatever else dangling around, and we come up to that fire door and we go to mask out, we should be competent, because I've seen guys do it from 7 seconds, and then I've seen guys do it in where it's the whole sniper. I love Brush's analogy of it. And somebody being sniped at the front door, as the firefighter walks up to that front door and is thinking about getting masked out, it's like they get shot all of a sudden. They go down to their knees and gloves come off and the helmet comes off, and it's just like this, like they've been shot, and everything just blows up in the front yard. And then they, get their mask on, then it's getting everything and putting it all back on. And we're talking a minute plus on some of these scenarios. And you're just like, that is not okay. Like whether it's for fire attack,
Yeah.
or if it's for search or anything of it, it's just not okay,
Yeah.
man. That's not giving them why we are here. It's not giving them the best chance of survival, whether it's for property or for life or anything. Like if you allow a fire to grow for another minute and a half, what have you just done? You just eliminated a whole nother room probably on this house that could have been possibly saved. Furnishings, loved ones, things, everything's important, man. We're not just there. I know we are there for them. That's the whole thing, but we can make a huge difference in people's lives by saving their things. It's not just things to them. I know I've got plenty of things in my house that, man, it would suck to not live with them anymore, whether it's pictures or memories or whatever it is, man. And it can make a huge deal when you're going to do overhaul. You get in there and make a good quick knock, and you're able to pull some of these people's belongings that really mean something to them. And you can pull those things out, and man, their house just caught on fire. It's pretty much going to be rebuilt, but now they have something, and they're actually smiling in the front yard, because that's what matters. Is that love. It's not, the house is just the house and can be rebuilt. It sucks and it takes time, puts you out and all that. But if you can reconnect them back to the love that they have, or something that they care about, then it makes, then it's like, hell, we didn't lose everything.
Yeah.
I still have a lot to live for, and we're going to move on. And you can make a difference just by doing that. So the whole mindset of, if nobody's in there, we should just spray. You got to stop. If you can make entry, we make entry. Like I get it if it's just freaking crazy and you can't make entry, but if you can do it, there's no reason just because somebody said, a neighbor, bystander, somebody said there's nobody in there, or there's nothing worth saving or anything. It's nonsense, man.
Yeah. That's hard. That's hard for me to wrap my head around. I'm sure you're kind of on the same page of, that's not what we do. That's not what we're called. We're called firefighters. That's our job. And I know,
that's an aggressive term, man.
You've got a million different variables that play into that, and I get it. But you just never know. We hear all the time stories of someone pulled out of a house that an all clear was given. Somebody, whether it was a neighbor who, gosh dang, if a neighbor is telling you everybody is out, please do not trust that. I hope that would never happen, because me, as a parent of a lot of kids, there are days where I I probably couldn't honestly tell you under stress everybody that's in the house. And
Yeah.
if we're trusting neighbors or passerbys, that's crazy. But just just the mindset of, I honestly don't care if there's an all clear before anybody arrives on scene. I don't want to hear it. I want to assess the situation myself. You see the pictures all the time of the front of a building is just totally just fire coming out of every window. You walk around the back and there's nothing. And maybe that's where your bedrooms are. Maybe that's where one bedroom is. But yeah, I mean, you can't just write things off because that's what somebody said, or that's what it appears from the outside. I mean, you're setting yourself up for some bad situations.
Yeah.
I know we agree on that.
Yeah. It's funny how that gets taken to, aggressive and not freelancing, but just, undue risk or anything else. And it's all calculated, man. If it's searchable space and you have fire tech, then we got to get it searched. It's finding the avenue and accomplishing the task. And it's one of the most, probably, second most important task on the fire ground. I mean, putting the fire out, all the sayings, put the fire out, the problems go away. Well, that's all. Yeah, that is it. And so if I can do that, and that search and the life becomes secondary, they're number one, don't get me wrong. But like when it comes to the tactical mindset of it, we got to go through that flow of, you got to discipline fire tack on a hose line. You're still, doesn't mean you're not searching off this hose line or anything of the sort, because we can do multiple things at one time as you make entry and go down that, because you might be the only one on that first floor for a while. And somebody else might be going secondary upstairs and not trying to get up your butt or trying to find the staircase and wasting time. They're going to take a ladder to a second floor window and go after it, because they know that's the quickest and the highest probability of finding somebody. And it's not following fire tack through this structure and trying to find a staircase, yeah, I definitely agree with you on it. So going back to the drills, just as a reference and people's mindset, that, I mean, it's set in there. Like, people have such a hard time with these deployments and setting a time and having a standard, to live by. I mean, it's literally right there, a forward stretch, water flow in 3 minutes is what, you can look that up in the FPA 1410 at the back in the annex back there. It's all there. It's nothing. There's a force reader, does a lot of stuff with fire engineering, and he's got it all laid out in one simple sheet. It has every single evolution, and it has all the timestamps, and it has documents, so it's easy to obtain. The information's there. So why can't we just implement that? Why can't that be our annual drills that, hey, here's a competency-based drill. You've got 3 minutes to catch a hydrant, lay 100 foot of supply, and have water flowing. It doesn't seem hard to me, but for some reason it's like, oh no, you're trying to get somebody fired, or you're trying to hold somebody accountable. And it's just like, we hold ourselves accountable in every other aspect. EMT, paramedic, skills refreshers, constantly hazmat refreshers, everything of it. Why is it not mandatory to be competent, with the fire side? But that's an ongoing conversation, ongoing battle, I think, constantly, that people are trying to figure out, and how to make that work, if it was possible to work. But, and even if it's not out there, that doesn't mean you can't be and create your own, because in every one of those NFPA standards and everything that's out there, it's the authority having jurisdiction. It's your setup, your hose, your rigs, your times, and they give you a good base of times, but you can create your own. It doesn't mean just because they say 3 minutes. Just because they say 3 minutes doesn't mean that we can't set our own and say, we're going to do this in a minute because this is
Yeah.
what we want. This is what we strive to be as a crew. You know, that's not catching a hydrant, simply pulling up, laying a line, and, you know, and flowing water. But whatever stretch it
Yeah.
is, you know. So all of them have, it's a good resource to look at, and especially training division or training officers that are looking to implement some drills. You have a backer. You're not just out there creating these things on the fly and trying to implement something into your department. It's simply you've got something to back it up. So, and that makes
Yeah.
it a little bit easier sometimes. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
especially
yeah,
if you're somebody or a department that doesn't know where to start, or needs help kind of getting something going. I mean, that's a great tool to use to get started or kind of start implementing something on your own. So it's definitely a good resource.
yeah. But
Well, man, I
well,
think we've been on pretty good amount of time. I know there's lots of more that we can dig into, and I'm sure we will find the topic and get into something else a little bit later. But I appreciate your time and enjoyed it for sure.
heck yeah, man. I appreciate you, man. And I want to definitely shout out and, thank you for allowing me to come on. It's an honor. It's an honor to be on here. It's an honor to work with you at the station. Shout out to Brush and his mentorship. I know you've bounced a lot of stuff off him as well. He's been
Oh
an
yeah,
instrumental part of my upcoming in the fire service, and to be able to teach places. And I was probably more annoying to him than anything at first, and just trying to be in his back pocket as much as possible. I was just trying to feed off of it, man. There's so much that he had that I wanted. And
yeah,
I know he made a comment one time. He was just like, he's like, dude, why are you in this class again? He was like, man, I want to know it. I want to know what it is. And he was almost, it was kind of funny, because it's just like, it wasn't that I was trying to have a man. Well, maybe I did have a man crush on him. Maybe I still do. I don't know. But the information and his presentation and the way he was, it was just, he loved the fire service. He knew what he was doing. And I wanted that. I hadn't seen
yeah,
that in the fire service yet, really, at that point, man. And it really catapulted my career, not only the department, but, nationally, and being able to go places and teach and
oh
being
yeah,
under him and kind of branching out. And then the forcible entry, the door prop and everything else has opened tons of doors. And then with Steve Robertson, Stretching for Success, that cadre, man, hands down, Brush, like Steve said, he's like, Brush got you here and you're going to keep yourself here. So whatever you do, and that was at the FDIC when I was a volunteer, he's like, it'll be up to you whether you stay here or not. And it was no bullshit. He's like, you might be able to, you might
yeah,
not, but what you do here will dictate, and I pride myself on being a hard worker. I love the job, and I don't want to disappoint anybody. So, but with him and
yeah,
Kurt and them doing their thing down there, give a shout out to Water on the Fire or H-Rock, everything that the CFT team is doing down in Pensacola. Times are kind of crazy right now and everything's getting shut down, but man, once it opens up again, it's going to be a blast. Everybody getting
yeah,
back together down there. So just, I definitely want to thank those guys for what they've done for me and my career, and just the mentorship
yeah,
that has been given back, man. They're true gentlemen of the fire service, I would say, man. There's plenty others that,
yeah,
locally that just, and some of them are my classmates that I came in that I depend on and rely on constantly at the department level, and you and a bunch of other guys, man. So just, it's awesome. Love it.
yeah.
Keep doing what you're
That's
doing, man.
kind of, I appreciate it, and that's really one of the base reasons I'm sitting here right now is just finding people that are like-minded to keep that drive going, and who understand where you're at, the problems you're facing, the struggles and all that. And it's been very enjoyable for me, kind
Yeah.
of getting into it. So I appreciate that, and definitely love to hear, who brought you to that level too. So that's awesome.
Yeah. One
Uh,
last thing. I don't want
yeah,
to leave out my SoulCon brothers. Definitely got to give
yeah,
a shout out to my SoulCon brothers, and to what now is the Gaborum training and mindset and subscription for. It's basically a men's ministry, man. And if anybody I would say it fits really well with the fire department mindset and the men and women of the fire service. If you're looking for a group of men or that are engaged and love the Lord, man, look them up. Between Gaborum and Solcon out there, man, just as a, like I said in the beginning, man, a faith-based, faith-led and everything else, man. And that has been an instrumental part in my being saved and my life as it is right now. And the things that are in my life is because of him and me giving my life back to him, because otherwise I don't think I would be anywhere. I know I wouldn't be anywhere where I am today without him. So just a shout out to my soul.
So what is that? Is that website, Facebook? What?
Yeah, you can go to
Gaborum,
Gaborum.com, man. And it's, like I said, it's a men's ministry and it's an international thing. The SoulCon was an individual nonprofit that has gone under the umbrella of Gaborum now, which is a for-profit company now. But the whole purpose, or the whole thing about Gaborum, which is the mighty men, basically David's mighty men, but being a warrior mindset for the Lord. And then the Gaborum is basically a production company for, you could say, the New Testament, Old Testament warriors, that bringing it to the movie screens, trying to bring a positive, awesome light to the warriors of the Bible in a pretty solid, which the trailer just went out. So if you can check it out, man, it's awesome. I mean, it's going to be a pretty cool kind of 300, if anybody like the Spartan and 300 mindset, this is what you're going to get, but it's going to be a very faith-based depiction, and it's not going to be edited, or, it's not going to be like your typical Christian movie by any stretch. It's going to be raw. It's going to be brutal, and it's going to show some things. And that's the Gaborum. It was started by Cody Bobe, which he was from here in the OKC area, along with Cliff Graham, which is the author of many like Christian warrior books and of course, hands down, they're awesome. So I want to give a shout out to them. Appreciate everything that has done for me and where it's brought me as well.
So where can everybody get a hold of you if they're looking for some more Justin Mann insight, or where they can find you and all that?
Really, man, everything is run through the door prop, man. Email wise, it's woods fedoorkit@gmail.com. Facebook is basically Woods Fe Door. You're running basically the Instagram side. If you're contacting us through Facebook or Instagram, you're going to get one of me or Jeremy on here that are going to be responding to you and setting you up with whatever. The awesome thing, we sell the props as is. You build them out. The ownership of it is freaking amazing. Crew level integrity. Like, you get that prop and you get to build it out how you want it. You can personalize it as much as you want. You can build it and just be simplicity and be just to be able to get the reps in. You can freaking make it an art piece. You know what I mean? You can throw it in a burn tower or a front door of a burn tower. That's what's awesome. So, but anyways, yeah, Facebook, Instagram. We don't have a website anymore. Kind of tossed off. If you do check us out on Facebook at this time, we're pre-ordering some of our Forceful Entry shirts. So it's been a grand adventure. It's always fun selling shirts. But hit us up if you want one. We'll ship them out, man. Price is included shipping's included in the price of it. So anybody that's local and listen to this, just hit us up. We got some stock that we can get out there right now. If we don't have it, then we'll just get you on the pre-order. So awesome. That's it.
And like you heard it here first. Apparently, True First Culture Podcast is now going to be sponsored by Woods Forceful Entry Door Kit, and super excited to have that, just to be a part of these three guys. Solid guys. They're doing great things for the fire service. They've kind of sponsored a lot of people to go to different conferences and just doing good things. So anybody out there that's looking for a good forcible entry prop, definitely look these guys up. They've got good stuff. I've got one myself that I'm very proud of, and like Justin said, I tried to make it pretty. It's almost like a piece of furniture, but at the same time, we do work on it. So yeah, great product, great people, and appreciate everything that they've done for me. So I thank you for spending some time with us today. I really enjoyed the conversation. Hope everybody out there got something out of it. Look forward to bringing Justin back on again. And until next time, everybody out there, stay safe and take care of each other. Thank you.
See you, Bob.
Thanks.